The Serpent Speaketh by ozjthomas. Audiobook Part 3. Daryl's Dream Journal, Entry 3. Falling back into dreams, I'm glad not to be in the garden, but in the perfect city. Looking around at the bright lights and clean air and sidewalks, I can't help but smile. It's just as I envisioned it. As I walk around, everyone is smiling, talking to one another just like their neighbors. Kids are running through the streets, playing and laughing, and everywhere you look, it's sunny and clean and bright. It looks just like the concept sketches I have been working on in the graphic design firm, only better, more alive with more shops, more neon signs, more parks everywhere you look. I turn around to see Mikey, the anthropomorphic mascot of the building company I'm working with. He's a minotaur. Beside him, Dolly the dinosaur stands, both with welcoming arms. We don't have to say anything. There are no courtships or games. We just take each other's hands and begin to skip down the broad avenue into the city, singing a song as we do. We sing, we dance, we ride the merry-go-round and eat cotton candy. There is nothing we have to do but just be who we are. Something tells me that this can last forever. But then a voice comes. A voice that sweetly whispers, "This won't do. This is a dead place and not what you need right now," it says, and suddenly I am pulled out of my bliss. As I float through space, the voice continues. If you want to find the real paradise, you have to start at the beginning. I yell, "I don't want to go back to the garden." The voice laughs. "Don't worry," it says. I'm set down and look around. At first it looks like the garden, but when I start to walk around I realize it is not. It's filled with vines and brambles, weeds and debris. I start to walk down the path again. It's overgrown with grass and I am cautiously aware of the many snakes slithering underfoot. I hear a voice telling me that there is a path to the road of enlightenment, but there is a lot that I have to do in order to get there. I put my head down and push forward. I reach that gnarled tree in the garden, and a voice, which I know is coming from a snake, says, "The city you dreamed of isn't real. The garden that you dreamt of isn't real. That's why I brought you here." I look up at the tree and instinctively begin to climb. I'm only a few feet up when I grab a branch, it snaps, and I fall. I land on my back, and when I do, I find that I am paralyzed. I struggle to move, but I can't. I can't scream and I can't run. All I can do is just lie perfectly still, staring up at that gnarled tree as the snake, quietly, persistently, enters into my nose and becomes one with me. May 7th, 2012. I look out the window of the farmhouse when I awake and am struck by the sudden realization that the gnarled tree that I had been dreaming about is the same gnarled tree that stood outside the farmhouse I grew up in. It's so obvious, but I just never noticed it before. I stumble about making a pot of coffee, cursing at the propane stove that stutters and fails when I get a call from Summer. "Are you okay?" she asks. "I hadn't heard from you." I take a breath and tell her that everything is great and that I hope Clyde is doing fine too. I know it's difficult, all of us being apart, but it seems to have lessened the stress for everyone, she says. She tells me to take it easy and not to worry about work or anything today because Frank is going to be stopping by and taking care of anything I need. I'm not too thrilled, but I thank her and drink my coffee and eat some cornflakes and then get ready for work, only realizing halfway through the process that Summer just told me to stay at the farmhouse today. I tell myself that this Frank she keeps mentioning must be a different Frank from the one I can't stand, even though I have a feeling it isn't. I open up my briefcase after breakfast and start reviewing some sketches for the perfect city. I hear a loud bang midway in and run outside. It's Frank, in a pickup, throwing firewood next to the house. He almost hits me with a piece when I walk up. The bang was the truck backfiring, he tells me. "You almost hit me," I tell him. He shrugs. "Sorry," he says. "How about lending me a hand?" I reluctantly stack wood with him, and after 10 minutes the truck bed is empty. He pats me on the back and smiles broadly. I tell him I'm going back inside and to call me if he needs help. He stands there as if dumbstruck. "You really should be a little nicer, you know," he says, smiling with teeth that I didn't notice were 2 sizes too big. I continue walking and roll my eyes. He comes behind me and turns me around. "Too good for me, are ya?" he asks. I keep my lips sealed. Frank grunts, then smiles again. "Sorry about that. I don't like to be mean, but you gotta say thank you once in a while." "Thanks," I say, then walk inside. "Pathetic," a voice says. I look around, but Frank is out in his truck. "Who said that?" I ask. Silence fills the air. A minute later, I hear the voice again. I walk around the house looking for the source of the voice, not seeing anybody or anything. I go to the door, and as I pull it open, it slams into my face, and I fall backwards. I rub my head and try to get up, but I can't. I'm looking up and see a fat old woman with yellow eyes. "You really need to learn to defend yourself," she says, stepping on me and lumbering into the kitchen. "What are you doing?" I ask. There's no response for a minute, and then she walks back to where I am, paralyzed on the floor. "I'm here to help you," she says. "I don't need your help," I say, refusing to look at her. She sets down a bottle of rum. "You can do all of this by yourself, is that it? Without any medication?" I don't say anything, but I'm thinking it. How did she know I wasn't taking the pills the doctor prescribed? Like she's reading my mind, she tells me that she knows everything. Like I know that Frank took your keys while you were sleeping. I struggle to get up. She laughs and tells me not to bother. I sigh, resigning myself to the situation. I look outside and see the leaves blowing in the breeze on that old gnarled tree, and I pass out. Daryl's Dream Journal. It takes me a minute to realize where I am. I have just fallen out of a tree and I am in a garden. An overgrown mess of a garden, but a garden nonetheless. I look about frantically for the snakes I know are everywhere, but I can't see them. Then I remember. She is inside of me. She starts to speak, coiling herself inside of my chest and hissing. It's a hiss that sounds like a laugh. "You're pathetic," she says. I'm terrified. "That thing you did with Mikey the Minotaur was especially dim," she mutters. "How did you know?" I ask, sounding like a dying frog. "I see what others don't see," she says, examining me from the inside. "And you should know that you are a coward." "I am not," I say. I walk, somehow hoping that this will quiet her. She senses what I am trying to do and makes me stop. "You are. You're a coward. You were with Mikey because you're too cowardly to live in the real world, just like you got put into this decaying farmhouse with that crackpot Frank. It's because you're not able to live in the real world with nice people like Summer. You're a serpent. And everyone knows serpents are liars and death." I mutter, struggling for air as I breathe. "No," she hisses. "I am life, ecstasy, magic." "No," I say. "You're darkness and death." "You say that, but tell me, Daryl, all that good that you do for Clyde and all that patience you're showing old Frank, what good is it bringing you?" "Leave me alone," I say weakly. "I bet Frank could come in here in the middle of the night and kill you and you wouldn't even fight," she says. "In the perfect city, there's no place for you, or people like Frank. Everything is perfect and protected and safe." She laughs. How ridiculous. "Your idea of perfection is death. A place where there are no choices, where there is no creativity or vibrancy or depth." What are you saying? Everything that is alive exists in chaos. Without it, there is no life. I am that life inside you. and you ignore me so that you can live your life in what you think is a safe way. I'm here to tell you that you're not really living. Then what am I? You're the dead walking, she hisses, moving around inside of me, and I'm here to make you come alive. I feel terrified, horrified. She's moving around inside me. I'm terrified of what I could become. Don't make me evil, I plead. She laughs. I'll do whatever I want to you, she says. Then I wake up. An excerpt from the Old Gods. The old gods fought her year after year in an unending battle. They always brought life and light. They always brought knowledge and insight. She seemed to only bring death, hate, and destruction, ignorance and disease. But what the old gods didn't understand was that she was only a reflection of what they were missing. She could be dangerous, but if they listened to her, she could also prove useful. Because she could never be killed, the Old Serpent Woman inspired fear in the garden. She was different. She didn't follow the rules everyone else followed. She didn't care about being nice or being liked. She just did what needed to be done. She trusted her instincts.